The basic parts of a car. What are the basic parts of a car? Hey, if you haven't watched this channel before, it's Robgillt from Capetownspares. And today we're just going to talk to you a little bit about the basic parts of a car. So what are the basic parts of a car? When you think of a car, what do you think of? You think of a steering wheel, you think of a dashboard, some pedals, a gear lever, an engine. Obviously you think of an engine, and you think of heading down the road, and you think of the headlights and the taillights and that sort of thing. Headlights are a very popular item because they always get broken. But your basic parts in a car that are really important. Number one, the battery. You cannot do without the battery. And every single time you buy a car, the battery's flat, because the guy before you probably changed it for a crap battery that it had, and he wanted to keep the good one. Hey, it's Coffee with Rob, so I'm just going to have a sip of coffee here. So the battery is a big one. The other basic thing is you need to service the car at regular intervals. So an oil filter. An oil filter is so important in the car. It keeps the blood of the car clean, in the engine at least, and it needs to be replaced at regular service intervals. Regular service intervals in the old days used to be every 10,000 Ks, now it's every 15 and sometimes even every 20. I'd still change it every 10. Some guys I know actually change it every 5 or every 7. So keep an eye on that. And then the air filter. The air filter is also important. That you don't need to change every service, maybe every second service. But it's still a very important item because it stops the dirt from getting through into your system, and if it clogs up, it stops the air from getting into your system, which you really need, and it increases fuel consumption. So the more you replace that, the better. But don't blow it out with compressed air because you make holes in the paper and it just makes things worse. So try and stay away from that scenario if you can. Right? So that's a basic part. Another basic part for your car is your petrol filter, if a car has one, petrol filter, because that's the one thing that will let you down in the middle of nowhere and clog up with dirt, and the petrol will stop going through. So it's always important to check and change the petrol filter. Most of the newer cars don't have one or don't need one, and in some cases when they do have one, it's a very high performance filter, and it only needs to be replaced once every like 50,000 Ks or something crazy. So, but that is a basic part of your car. Another very basic part that you need to check quite frequently is your brake pads. Your front brake pads and your rear brake pads are very important on your car. If they wear out, it becomes metal on metal, wears the disc down very quickly, and then you have a much more expensive repair. So that's quite important as well. And then there's another basic part that you have to keep an eye on, and everyone forgets about this, almost like the heart in a human being, okay? Like you don't check it because you can't see it. Shock absorbers. Shock absorbers are quite important because when they wear out, the handling of your car becomes incredibly dangerous and the car can go flying off the road and that sort of thing. So it's very important to have your shock absorbers checked at regular intervals. Make sure that everything's okay. If you know how to check them yourselves, do that. Usually you can just do the bounce test and see what it's like. But shock absorbers, seriously important. And of course, with the shock absorbers, your tires. Make sure your tires are not worn out and they're in good condition. That said, a fan belt, also make sure it's not worn out and it's in good condition. And if your car has a timing belt, change that every 100,000 Ks. Things that are rubber tend to get old, so you don't have to work it on mileage. Age also causes these things to harden and break and that sort of thing. So just a good idea to check those things. So if you're going on a long trip, for example, these are the things you want to do. These are the things you want to check. And most important for a long trip would be tires, fan belts, okay, because those let you down. And then all the little rubber pipes around your engine that feed water and that sort of thing, make sure they're quite soft and fresh and new. And if you're going on a really long trip, hey, change them all. Not that expensive. Get that sorted out, because otherwise it will burst in the middle of the desert and it's a horrible place to be. Okay, so because people aren't carrying all those pipes around with them, oddly enough. People will carry a fan belt, but they won't carry those pipes. Those are the things that break. So watch out for that sort of thing. Make sure your spare wheel's all pumped up and the tires all good as well. Make sure you've got a jack in the car and a wheel spanner. It's so important. That's just a little bit about the basic things you need in a car, and especially if you're taking a long trip. If I'm going on a long trip and I don't have those parts with me, where am I going to get them? Plan where you're going to find them and how you're going to find them quickly if you tend to break down on that long trip. Okay, so you don't have to carry them all with you, you just need to know where you can get them, because that could be important to you. We don't expect to break down, but when we do, we need that stuff. So those are some of the basic parts of the car. That's just my feeling. There's a lot more we can go into, and there's a lot more that you can actually see for yourself. But these are the hidden things, and these are the things that are important. Hey, it's Robgillt. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. And follow me on Facebook and like the Instagram page as well. Till next time, cheers.